Folks,
Bupkis.
welcome. Bupkis, there you go. Welcome to Dungeons, Dragons, and Discourse with Old Man Grognard, Glen Halstrom, and myself, Erik Tenkar. If you're listening on the podcast side, it's Tavern Chat. But
Erik Tenkar, who you could not get enough of.
No, you get me 7 days a week.
You believe this?
8 days a week if we were doing
a Beatles cast.
Beatles cast. Yeah, but we're not doing that.
When I get Sirius XM, I weld the radio in the car to the Beatles channel.
Well, there you go. And I actually, I had XM before it got merged with Sirius, and I did love it. It was great for the long trips, and when I was driving because you didn't have to worry every 20 or 30 minutes having to change the radio station as one channel fades in and one channel fades out. Oh,
exactly. No. What it is every 20 minutes somebody's doing this. All right, got anything?
Yeah.
What I do, like when I go to North Texas with Gage, or so I got a long trip, I plug in Pandora.
Oh, okay.
We got Bluetooth, so it's like if I don't have Sirius, it's like, all right, I'll just dial a station in Pandora and let that go. Good evening, David.
Yeah, you actually. I like the new. I like the new pop-ups. It looks it's nice. Look how David's text pops up on the screen. It's beauteous.
Sexy. That's sexy.
It's beauteous. So
that's sexy. So what's new in the wide world of gaming, Erik?
The wide world of gaming.
Yeah.
The wide world of gaming. Well, as we mentioned before we came on, ICV2 just announced their sales figures. I guess it's for North America. It's at least for the States, and no surprise, number one game as far as distribution goes, Dungeons and Dragons. Yes. Pathfinder is number 2. Now you don't get to see
also not a surprise.
No, but here's the thing: you don't get a chance to. Of course, my son would have to try to call because he does that. Turning off my phone doesn't make a difference. It comes to my headset. Pathfinder is number 2. That's Pathfinder 2nd edition because they're not distributing 1st edition anymore. We don't know how.
Well, it is kind of a surprise because it's kind of a surprise because there's a lot of people who have hate for 2nd edition.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, Paizo is still one of the big kids on campus. Coming in at number 3 is Cyberpunk. I guess the new Cyberpunk. Or whatever edition it is, Cyberpunk Red.
Go, Mike Pondsmith! Yay!
Yes. Coming in at number 4 now, I'm kind of surprised by this because I thought Call of Cthulhu was popping up on a lot of the playlists for Roll20 and for Fantasy Grounds, but Alien, the new tabletop RPG, is coming in at number 4. I've heard good things about Alien. I've heard it plays real quick and it's a lot of fun. So I may be tempted to try it. Yes. Apparently it's available on Amazon. There is a hardback and a starter set. And the hardback is cheaper than the starter set. So
and number 5 surprised me.
Yeah, it surprised me too, because Fate's been out for years. And they came out with, a new, new edition.
Fate condensed. So what I understand, I don't know why they need it unless they're going to get rid of Fate Accelerated.
Well,
or maybe they just renamed it or something.
Well, I guess you need it because you need to drive some sales, right? And Purple Hair can't do it all, so you need to. You need to compensate.
I like Fate. I played Fate. I liked it. But if I had a gold piece for every time I heard somebody say, I don't understand Fate, I'd be rich.
Hold on a second. I don't understand Fate. Now,
there's another gold piece.
Yes. Fate is one of those games that I'm like, it should make a lot of sense. and then I'm like, it doesn't. And I really wanted to enjoy it. Like Dresden, I enjoyed reading the setting material for the Dresden RPG. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
but the setting it was great, and the system. I'm like, but then again, I'm the same person that did that whole for Savage Worlds. Going, I can understand the system, but I don't understand how spells and powers work. I guess I
They
could
work.
play a game with it.
They work very well.
I'm sure they do, but I never actually.
The power section is pretty much like a really cut down. Oh, I don't know, champions or GURPS, and it's it's a lot more straightforward than those systems, and
Okay.
it's easy. It's easy.
It's easy if your brain wraps itself around it. My brain does not.
Sorry. So how are you and Raish? How are you doing?
We're doing good. Rach right now
Good.
is doing a yoga class, and then this weekend she's got yoga training Saturday and Sunday. I think I mentioned this last night when we were hanging
Yoga
out.
in Dallas.
Yeah, she'll be doing yoga in Dallas because she'll be finishing up her training that
Mhm.
weekend. So thanks to COVID and the world of Zoom, her training is online.
I went to my therapist today. I
Okay.
don't know how I want to take this, but when your therapist says he looks forward to seeing you every Friday because he's entertained, and I said, well, I'm glad I could provide a service. But anyway.
Glenn, go with God. You got my blessing. So on a totally tertiary note, I found myself really fiending for a Fireball whiskey because I hadn't had a Fireball whiskey since something's tickling my nose. So if you can see me doing this, I feel like I got a hair on my nose.
Yeah, I thought you were flipping me off.
No, I'm not doing coke either. It's just that. But I hadn't had a Fireball in like over a year, and I really enjoy it. And it's not like I can't drink alcohol at this point. I'm allowed to, but Fireball whiskey's got like 10, 11 carbs per shot. It's like pure sugar. So instead, I think next time I'm going to buy cheap ass whiskey, not Tullamore Dew. But I bought a Tullamore Dew, and I got cinnamon sticks, and it says 5, so I put in like 8 because I could. And
they fit the bottle, yeah.
It said 5 days, and in 2 days, it is fucking rocking. 2 shots over ice, 2 drops of monk fruit, and it is not 100% a Fireball, but it's damn close enough. And
close enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's actually a bit more like a Jack Daniel's Fire, which I think always had a little bit more bite and a little bit less sweet. But
yeah. I like Devil's Cut.
Okay.
Let's see what else I did. I finally got my some of my old Super 8 movies onto Facebook Marketplace. See if somebody wants to buy them. Yeah, I got all these 8mm and Super 8 movies that I bought in my heyday, in my younger days before VHS. And I've been carrying that box around for the last 50 years, and I'm sick of it. I don't have a projector anymore. Don't need them. Want to make some money. Got to make some convention money. Come on.
Yeah. No, listen, if you're going to unload stuff, now's the time to do it. When people are still stuck home.
Some are still on lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's still the world of COVID, literally around the world. I'm blessed. I've had my second vaccine shot this past Tuesday.
I had my first yesterday.
I'm still hyped. It feels like somebody punched the shit out of me.
Mine barely hurts. Of course, number 2 will probably do that to me.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Being a gamer during COVID is rough.
Well, yeah. Now, that's something I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, go ahead.
You've used game Owlbear Rodeo, not Game Bear. What the hell is Game Bear?
Game Bear,
Owlbear.
yeah.
Game Bear Rodeo. You've used Owlbear Rodeo, the VTT,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty new VTT. I did a little reading up on it, and it was created
Well,
by two guys
it's
because of the pandemic.
Yeah, two guys in Australia, and according to you look at the website, it does say beta,
right?
And they do have, I believe, they do have a Patreon that you can contribute to also. Folks, this is the bomb. This is for us. If you like simple tabletop, this is the bomb.
The bomb.
The
Not
bomb.
Not the biz.
You know what I discovered? First of all, I guess we got to explain a little about Owlbear Top. That is just, it's so simple to use. I mean, Roll20 to me, I didn't want to do the learning curve. And it's got everything you need except for it doesn't have like voice or text, but you can use Discord for that.
Right.
Tokens, maps you can throw up there. And it's got little to no downside, and it's just play and go. You don't even have to sign up for anything. You just say start game. Want to add players, you can send them a link, and they pick up the link and they're there. The token system is fascinating because you can use it for more than just tokens on a map. Because I put like gangbusters cars in there and used.
Oh, really?
I put.
So you can use it for handouts then. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You can use the maps for handouts too. But you got one of the guys made a initiative tracker that you can put in the tokens and put it up and put it on the bottom of the screen, then take tokens that the players take out of your token side and just, okay, he goes on 3, so put his token on number 3. He goes on 7, put it on his token on number 7. It's still have the tokens on the map, but it's a great initiative. I mean, I never thought of using the token thing that way.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's got a lot of little quirks and tweaks that are really nice. It's got Fog of War.
I was about to ask about that, but because
it's easy Fog of War too.
Really,
and it's got a measuring stick. You can measure how far if you don't want to use if you don't have a grid or something like that, it'll tell you how far away you are and all that kind of stuff. It's a really good. The only downside, as I told you before, is the fact that I think they decided more for pickup games and things like that, because first of all, any of the assets you put in, like your maps, your tokens, or anything like that, are saved on your computer, not in the cloud.
Okay.
But you have to sign in once every 24 hours or everything gets wiped, because they assume you're just going to be playing in a pickup game or something like that, which to me, I don't want that to be a deal breaker. But right. I can see it could be for some people. And I hope they change that. Because here's the thing I don't get. They say that you store all your assets on your computer, right?
Right.
Well, if they're going to wipe it after 24 hours, it's still on your computer. I mean, you got to go put that stuff back, but why can't you just leave it there? If it's stuck on your... I don't know programming, so
I am programming illiterate, and
I'm assuming that's something they could fix. In fact, I think I'm going to be writing an email about it.
Well, I'm going to assume
because it's such
there must be some information that's stored on their servers for over those 24 hours. So I guess they've probably had a lot of use during the pandemic. The article I read on VTTs, which happened to mention Owlbear Rodeo, in addition to Roll20, in addition to Fantasy Grounds, in addition to others that are out there. Surprisingly, not was it Map Tools, which was one of the older, but
that's old.
Yeah, but I thought it's like
the Foundry and all that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Owlbear Rodeo has, from what I understand, small barriers to entry. You don't need a lot of knowledge, and the cost is Zippo. It is free, and it does what you need.
I
Go ahead.
No. You're on something here. Go ahead.
No, but I'm assuming is that because again, they wrote this because and released it because of the pandemic, and I've been saying for nearly a year that the pandemic was going to push VTTs to the next level. It was going to open uh, new avenues and new ideas in the virtual tabletop gaming
Hmm.
area because there's going to be a need for it. You can't. People are going to want to game, and if you can't game with your friends face to face, you need a good interface on your computer to do it. And
Exactly.
it looks like that Albert Rodeo is that interface. But if they picked up more more users than they had planned, more larger user base than they expected,
Hmm.
they may not have the server capacity to hold
It's
that data.
possible.
So maybe that's why you have the 24-hour
It's
scrub.
possible. That's
I'll be honest with
possible.
you. If they made the scrub a 14-day scrub, I'd jump into that right
That'd be
away.
great. That'd be
You know,
fantastic.
because
Yeah.
even if I'm not running it, even if I was running a game once a month, I'll be on it multiple times during a month to add data,
Right.
update my campaign, whatever.
Right.
I have to. I've opened up the web page and been like, I need to try this out. I need to play with it
Oh, do
because
it. Do it.
something that is low key. I mean, I've mentioned this in the past, but a couple of years ago, when Roll 20, most of its earlier bugs were fixed, and it was starting to pick up large
Hmm.
user base. They reached out. 'Cause I used to post a lot about virtual tabletops, and they reached out to me. When I say they, the folks behind Roll 20 reached out to me. Their community manager, I forget their name, and was like, "Hey, we'd love for you to record a session so we could put it up for the community to see with as an influencer." And my response to that was, "Listen, I'd love to, but my use of your software is minimalist. I'm using Fog of War. I'm using the dice. I'm not using character sheets. At the time, I wasn't even using handouts. I started using handouts later, but I wasn't even using handouts. I go, not even using tokens at the time. I was just using pointers. And I said, so, and that and my gaming group is probably politically incorrect. And, and, you know, we joke around a lot where I tend to drop the F bomb, so does most of my group. And what happened was I got no response to that, so they lost interest. So,
Yeah.
all right, Greg, what if the future of RPGs is designed for online play as a first choice? More investment in digital assets. Well, that
Gotta hope
digital.
not.
Well, here's the thing: the digital asset aspect is certainly something that's coming along. Uh, if you ever hang out on our Thursday night hangout on the Tenkar Tavern Discord server, you're going to bump into people who use VTTs extensively. And we even have somebody that's a regular that converts material to Fantasy Grounds as a side gig. And he's good at it. Uh, Michael is great at it. And but then again, it's taking something that was written for the tabletop and moving it to the virtual tabletop. I think that fourth edition was a game that was written with the idea of this is a game that's going to make money. I say fourth edition D&D. This is a game that's going to make its money on a virtual tabletop. Virtual tabletops were coming, starting to get popular. You had Fantasy Grounds, you had Screen Monkey, you had Map Tools, you had a few others. You had Klug. Oh my God, Klug is really dating myself. And Wizards of the Coast figured they'll put out a next generation VTT and monetize it by digital assets. That was their thought. Obviously, it never happened. There's a huge, convoluted story as to why that was. It includes a homicide, and just bad stuff on with their programmers. Not the least of which was that the video of the 3D dice was literally stolen from the Fantasy Grounds programming. But this is neither here nor there. I could see again. I would be very interested to see like an OSR game written with the idea that it was going to be primarily a VTT experience. With again, you buy the game and it comes with a bunch of digital tokens, maybe some
Maps and
basic maps. Now, if you're looking for dungeon maps, the one-page dungeon generator, it's on itch.io, is amazing and it's free to use. And the maps are, dare I say it, Dyson-esque. And sure, you can get free maps from Dyson, but you can actually get free maps that you can even use commercially from this digital asset for free, and they're going to be unique. And if you hit like refresh 99 times, the internet monkeys will probably give you a couple of maps that are worthwhile to save.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, Greg, that's. And by the way, Greg, you're the reason why I just ordered the Alien RPG. So kudos to my old GM, and fuck you for making me spend money.
Well, I also Owlbear Rodeo. Like I said, it's a simple VTT. It does not come with rule sets. It does not come with character sheets. It comes with a dice roller. So, and also they're working on a what do they call those? The playing the music playlists. They're working on that one.
Oh, I saw something about that you could almost be like your gaming DJ, and that here.
Roll20 does that too.
Right. Well, and I remember playing back in the mid '90s, before I had to step away from gaming for about 10 years, and
did the same thing.
We would, the Conan soundtrack on LP or I think I still had it on LP or maybe it was CD, and stuff like that. But here's the issue with that: if you play the music too loud, the soundtrack too loud, it's distracting. Now, I have, thanks to Humble Bundle, I have a shit ton of sound effects tracks, which are great. And what I love to, as the party goes, yes, as the party goes into something like a tavern or a pub, would I like to have that playing in the background? Certainly.
Yep.
But I don't know how distracting it will be, and some people get more distracted than others. Oh, you're running to Alien tomorrow night. If I want to play a Dune character, you know what? I will get back to you on that one, Greg. I got to see what plans my better half has. There might be no plans. In which case, you will have my gauze gun or whatever the fuck they have in Aliens. Glenn, you are muted. Your mouth is going, but there is no voice behind it.
Oh, you hear me now?
Yes.
Anyway, we should get the Tenkar's Tavern Nation to get behind Owlbear Rodeo. That's a good thing. You got a lot of nice little tweaks in it.
What I will do is I will play around with it a little bit. This
Owlbear.rodeo.
Yeah, right. It's not owlbearrodeo.com. It's owlbear.rodeo.
Rodeo. I mean, one of the things. I love the little tweaks they got in, like the tokens again. Like I said, I could put cars and stuff and other mounts like horses and things, but you can go in and designate that as a mount. Then you can put tokens on top of it, and when you move the car, the horse, or whatever, you move the token along with it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. See,
yeah.
The Owlbear Rodeo seems to me, and again, I haven't really spent time tooling around with it. I'll do that over the weekend. Not going to say this is going to happen, but since I can do a share screen, maybe I will do it on YouTube as I play around with it, and it might be boring as fucking hell, and it probably won't get converted to the podcast side because it's going to be a visual. But we will see. But
It'd be interesting to see anyway.
yeah, but I'd like, again, I want my virtual tabletop to be like a virtual tabletop. If something, as a player, do I enjoy Fantasy Grounds? Yes, it's what brought me back to gaming. However, my issue becomes, as a GM, if the overhead to set up a game is longer than it would take me to write my own adventure and draw my own maps, now my time investment has doubled or tripled. It's not saving me time. It might make the experience at the table a little bit quicker by automating all this stuff, but we never automated stuff when we played at a regular dining room table, and you don't have dice falling off the table where you have to take breaks to find somebody's D4, and shit like that. So
just walk around. That's yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Anyway,
okay.
folks, Albert Rodeo, we'll try it.
Well, it looks like, so Greg, let me ask you a question. You can answer this in the chat, Greg. It does look pretty good. I was able to put together a battlefield with Flora and Token in just a few secs. So I'm assuming you're talking Owlbear Rodeo. And if that's the case, that's another reason why I probably should drop into your game tomorrow night so I can see it in operation. Take a few screenshots and all that other shite. So I had a voicemail earlier in the week that Glenn was interested in responding to himself.
I actually responded a little on Radio Grognard, but it's worth discussing again. What the hell?
All right. So shall I go to the audio tape?
Please do.
Okay.
Hey, Eric, Jason here. That last Iron Rations episode with Joe and Matt and Mike was great. I've been pushing it on my podcast, on the Audio Dungeon Discord and some other places. One thing, though, to go into your discussion with Joe about the difference in how they prepare the DM and the idea that the 5th edition prepares the DM to run their railroads, their event.
So, Glenn, I've read a number of 5e published adventures by Wizards of the Coast, at least the earlier ones. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they were railroads. I mean, sometimes the tracks were a little obscured, but that you were expected to reach these what do they call them, points, whatever. You had to hit these markers or points to move on to the next part of the adventure.
It's kind of like the Pathfinder stuff.
Adventure paths. But you know what?
Adventure paths.
Firstly, the earlier Pathfinder adventure paths were very well written. And I could even say, I not only did I enjoy reading them, I could picture myself running them. I couldn't do that with the earlier 5e adventures because they didn't seem to have that same, I don't know, it's an intangible, I guess.
Yeah.
But should we go back to the audio?
Yes, please.
If you look in the 5th edition DMG, the recommending reading list includes things like how to improv and how to tell stories and how to write stories.
Now, when he's saying how to improv, it's not how to. I consider myself an improvisational DM.
As do
I like it when my players go off the beaten track.
Love it.
When they push me and like, I didn't expect them to go. I expect them to go left to right or forward. I didn't expect them to go up. It's like, fuck, now I really gotta. But dude, everybody take 10. Use the bathroom, smoke them if you got them, and I'll figure out something in those 10 minutes. And I actually enjoy that process because it makes the game, what's the word I'm looking for here? It makes the game viable for me. It surprises me. It pushes me to do better and to be creative at that spot. But when he's saying improv, talking improv like improvisational comedy or improvisational
NPCs and things like that.
Yeah, and that's not. Do I play stupid accents when I GM? Certainly. Sometimes I do that when I run a PC. But that isn't what they're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean that's important, but
Right. And not everything is Critical Role. And certainly a regular game is not going to be Critical Role. That's not what you should be looking to emulate.
anyway, go on.
So it's much more towards that Critical Role actual play thing than inspiration, like in the first edition D&D.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Listen, when you look at, and I've been going through the first edition DMG, I've been going through the appendixes, and it's stuff to empower you as a GM to allow you to improvise either in game or on a short notice. Oh shit, I'm GMing in 2 hours. I got nothing ready. Here's the tools that will help you get ready. I don't know if so much of that is the 5e mindset.
Yeah.
All right, DMG. So it's interesting the shift in what they want DMs to read towards the kind of games they want the DMs to run, which supports their product base, right? So I think that's an interesting shift.
When he said supports their product base, that's where the hackles got up on me. When he said support their product base, and I'm taking into consideration they're a business. Yes, I know this.
Right, David. Thank you. The milestones is what I was trying to think about. I just couldn't, man. I was having a brain thought.
But it just gets my goat about something like that. It's almost sacrilegious that you don't give the GM support to be a GM. You give them support to run whatever the hell's in front of them.
Right.
They always say that in business, good managers give their employees the tools to succeed. Well, I only see succeed in like a short term here. It doesn't sound like that makes you a better GM. It makes you to be able to run this module.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing, and I think as old school gamers, we forget that even when the RPGA was in existence and there were RPG games that were organized at game shops, and they were few and far between. Mostly,
I played my share.
But usually you would find them more at conventions, the RPG games. But here's the thing: the marketing for 5e, when it was during 4e, it was what was it for 4e when they had the encounters where you just had like one battle session.
D&D encounters, yeah.
That was your organized play. All right, we're gonna have one encounter and everybody enjoy it. But now you are all running the same experience. So when you're running a game under organized play for D&D, you are running it under their rules and their assumptions. So they're giving you tools in the DMG to run games as they want them run in a public space with this organized play. They're not giving you tools to create your own adventures because their business model is based upon the idea that you will buy their adventures. Now, an article I read said that with the pop,
$50, $50 a pop.
So now with an article I read with D&D sales being up like 33% during 2020, year of the pandemic, Wizards of the Coast has stated that they're going to be putting out more product. They're going to increase their release schedule. They're going to speed it up. Why would they do that? Well, because they've got a larger player base and maybe people have been playing more. But I think what it comes down to is that they've realized now is the time to strike. Their product, their commodity is the hot commodity right now. And they don't want third parties under the OGL getting the money that should be theirs. Now, certainly
Which
you
they
have the DMs Guild, which Wizards of the Coast gets 20% of everything that gets sold on that portal for doing nothing. So, by the way, folks, I'm not saying that the different communities on Drive-Thru
This is the
RPG.
kind.
What?
Right.
No,
But
go
I
ahead,
was
Glenn.
going to say this is one of the reasons why I didn't like WotC selling to Hasbro, because I knew something like this was going to start happening. Market share and numbers, and they have to report to a big company, so it's going to be encouraging doing this stuff, which to me is almost, I don't want to say anti role playing game, but I guess it's just a version, a version of role playing games I don't really care for. So,
here's the thing. It's been almost 20 years since Hasbro.
I
bought out.
know, but the sting is still there for me.
I don't have this thing. You know what? Corporate America is corporate. Excuse me, corporate America. I don't have an issue with that, and I don't have to play their rule set.
Right. But at the same time, go ahead. No. I'm getting a little passionate. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. But at the same time, I don't like the community creator communities, or whatever they're called on Drive-Thru,
Mm-hmm.
where whether it's for Savage Worlds or whether it's for 5e or all these others, the reality is they're allowing you to play. Usually, in the case of D&D, it's with their setting because 5e is open. You don't have to play in their sandbox and give them a cut. But if you do want to write for Ravenloft or write for Forgotten Realms, you have to play in their sandbox. And now, instead of Drive-Thru taking 25 to 30%, you're losing about 50% of your cover price because that's the share to, dare I say it, the corporate overlords. I don't want to be pissing on anybody, but I find it offensive. And I like the way, and full disclosure, I'm associated with the Frogs. I'm not technically an employee, but Frog Guy Games does send me to conventions often, so I certainly, yeah. But here's the thing: like the Lost Land setting has an open license and it allows you to publish material for any game system using the Lost Land setting, following whatever limited restrictions they have, and they don't take a dime out of your pocket to do so. So that's the kind of contract. Now, if you're writing for, you want to write your own material for 5e, and you write it under the OGL, yeah, Wizards of the Coast doesn't get any share of it. But if you write it under the DMs Guild, not only do they get a share of it, but they get some weird kind of rights to it where you can't republish it anywhere else, and you can't translate it or you can't republish it under a different system. So your material is locked in. And we got to grab Rob Conley one day to talk about it because Rob really knows.
We should have him on here and we can go round and round about that.
Yeah, Rob is very passionate about it, but again, do I think that these communities have a benefit? Yes. Do I believe that benefit should be benefiting the I don't know, copyright owner by 20% and Drive-Thru by 25 to 30%, depending on whether you're exclusive or not? And here's the thing: if you're going to be publishing under one of those community banners on Drive-Thru, you might as well be exclusive because your material is locked there anyway, and you can't do derivatives elsewhere. So.
Well, my main sticking point was the fact that they're teaching. They're almost thinking. I'm thinking they're teaching new GMs wrong, and it seems to all, from what I heard, it all seems geared towards making them dependent on their stuff.
Yeah, well,
and I find that criminal. to tell you the truth.
Well, there's a marketing reason for it, and
Yes, there is.
I've said this
understand.
many a time. I don't. I've heard the rumblings like, oh, it's going to be a 6E. Every game system has a lifespan. You know what?
Mhm.
That is true. They do.
Unless you're an OGO, unless you're an OSR Grognard, then they never have a lifespan.
Yeah, but these major systems, like D&D, has a lifespan, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But let's be honest. 5E is lightning in a bottle for Wizards of the Coast.
It was, yes.
It still is. Sales are up 33%. Wizards of the Coast is as a division is making I don't know what
I'm
800 million.
I'm not denying that. I mean, to me, I always thought that every edition has its at least one good point. I'm still trying to find one in fourth, but third, even third edition,
fourth edition lets you look back at all the splat books in second edition and go, I guess they weren't really that bad. So that's the good point about fourth.
No, even third edition, which I dog all the time, was the fact that, hey, they are the ones that came up with the OGL, and that's why we have the OSR along with other third-party stuff that can be published.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think third edition is the most influential edition of D&D. I know I've done this argument before, and I've heard people go, "You're wrong. It's basic. You're wrong. It was original box set. You're wrong. It's first edition." Here's the deal, or fifth edition.
You're wrong. It's too complicated. Go ahead.
No, but here's again the OGL, because not only is the OGL used by D&D, it's used by Traveler, it's used by Mongoose RuneQuest when they became Legends. It's used by a lot of other publishers to open up their systems. So the third edition gave us an OGL, which gave us so much access to gaming that isn't locked down. And that's why I think, and I never played third edition. I owned the rulebook.
I played my share.
I was not in gaming at the time, but I appreciate it. And I do think it might not be my favorite edition. It might not be the edition I'd go, ooh, I want to play. But I think it's the most influential edition when it comes to gaming, and I think it's probably the most important to gaming overall, maybe aside from the original box set, the original white box, because I think it just added so much. So again, the more I hear you talk about this, Eric, the more I agree. David, that's don't get spoiled. I say I do a lot of talking out of my ass, and at some point I will talk out of my ass.
That's why I let him talk. But you can't argue about that with 3E. I even can't argue about it, even though I think that the system is just too much writing down, too much bureaucracy stuff.
Well, I still, again, I have my 3E, I have my 3.5. I still remember with 3E, Ranger still had 2 D8 hit dice at first level. And I was like, wow, it's not much different than first edition. It's not much different than second edition. They've added in feats, but really skills are proficiencies from before. And then they went to 3.5, and 3.5 was no longer, it was another generation from 2E to the point. For somebody who didn't play 3.5, it became an addition to me that was like...
I just kept going because I saw no difference until I decided 3E I didn't like after a while. I spent a few years playing it and running it, and I got to the point where I don't want to have to fill out every single thing about every single thing. I'm going back to a simpler time.
Well, I think with 3.5 and Pathfinder, we hit the point where we were, and I say we were, again, I wasn't gaming with either system, so it wasn't me. But as gamers, we were introduced to the concept of not just the Christmas tree character where, listen, even in 1E and 2E, my character was carrying way too fucking many magic items to be realistic, even with 18/0 strength, thanks to the gauntlets of ogre power and maybe a girdle of giant strength. There was no way they should be able to carry all this fucking shit and get through a doorway. But when it came to 3.5 and Pathfinder, now you found yourself not just saying what magic items do I want to accumulate. It was what feats do I want to get to so I can take this and get here. And if I take the wrong feat at 3rd level, I'm going to be fucked up at 12th level. And I can bork my character totally. And that's something that we didn't experience in the earlier editions. You couldn't fuck yourself over at earlier levels because, you specialized in daggers. All right, well, you specialize in daggers, and I guess you're fighting 2 hands. And now that you got 2 +4 daggers with your exceptional strength, your daggers are probably kicking ass, and you're probably not worried too much about it.
Exactly.
But if you took the wrong feat and you wanted to get a prestige class or whatever the fuck it was, in 3.5 or in Pathfinder 1E,
you didn't have it.
You didn't have it because you took the wrong thing. It's like, oh, I should have majored. I was a history major, which, really, when you get out of college, you realize it qualifies me for nothing except for the fact that I spent 4+ years in a college getting my degree. As opposed
it qualifies you to get work at a college.
Well, no, it qualifies you to go back to college to get your master's degree to get work at a college. My sister did that, and God bless her. But in my case, it's like, oh, well, you have at least 2 years of college. You are qualified to get promoted to sergeant. That's all it did for me in my career. It didn't open up any doors. I'm glad I did it, don't get me wrong. But there are not too many college degrees that necessarily are going to get you a career. I would have been better served if I wasn't going to go into law enforcement to have done an apprenticeship as an electrician or a plumber or a carpenter and gotten work in those.
Plumber.
Gotten work in those fields, and it's part of the.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have a whole argument about the importance of higher education. But the reality is, in a lot of places, it's just there to show your future employer, look, I could stick with something for 4 years.
I did, yeah. David said, played 3X for a good decade, went into it. Eventually I burned out and wanted to go back to simple stuff. There you go. See? You tend to get burned out of that kind of thing.
Well, and again, I think it's the mental hoops you got to go through. I mean,
yeah.
Even 5, 5e is a step forward and a step back. I still remember when Monty was the one in charge of D&D Next, and he made the foolish statement, and I say foolish because the words I want to use are probably way beyond foolish and would get me in trouble.
I think I know what you're talking about, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. With the next edition of D&D, you'll be able to take an original D&D character and sit next to a 1st edition character with a 3rd edition character and a 4th edition character all at the same table, and they'll be able to play each edition together.
I remember that. And he left, and the book came out, and I glanced through it, and I said, backwards compatible, huh?
Now, did he take some concept from the earlier editions? Did he get some of the flavor from it? I don't know. Not him, really. I guess the team that came in after him. And I have no inside knowledge as to why Monty left, but I would suspect that he left because his lofty goals were not really achievable, and or at least not achievable in the time frame they had to complete them in. When you're publishing a game, you have a time frame to get something out. Now,
right.
uh, Greg, who's been commenting and listening, Greg was my DM for the D&D Next playtest in the Friends and Family, and I gotta say, thank God we had a really skilled game master, because, to be honest, there were versions of the D&D Next playtest rules that were really awesome, and there were versions of it that sucked shit. And I really should go back to my my old hard drive and try to find the editions of the D&D Next playtest rules that really spoke to me. And maybe somebody out there could find their copy of those rules and OSR one of those like inspired by D&D Next playtest rules version 3.2.
I'd love to see that.
It's something that could be possible. Greg, you
Exactly.
have them. Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly, David.
Yeah, David. For me, 5e sits in a strange space. Not as complicated as 3x. Not as simple as BX. So it doesn't really fill any space that I want to game in. And here's the thing. And I will say, having game mastered for a 5e group and said, well, actually, I did that for 2 5e groups, but one came expecting to play 5e and had to play Swords of Wizardry Light. The other was a 5e group at TotalCon in 2020, last year, right before the pandemic. And it was a table of 8. 7 of them were from the same home group. One was just an additional player.
Wow.
So they came and they wanted to experience old school gaming. So their mindset was a little bit different than the people who I sprung on them. Hey, your DM couldn't make it. You can, I could run a 5e game and you'll have to really run it for me because I don't know the rules well enough to do it. The expectations are different. With 5e, there's an expectation that there is a rule for everything and everything has a rule.
No, it shouldn't be. Shouldn't be.
But with old school gaming, it's like, you know what, this is your framework. And if it doesn't fit within this basic framework, you
make it fit.
You improvise something. And again, that to me is part of being an improv DM. And it isn't, oh, well, I'm going to do the funny voices. Hey, you come to the shop. He's not quite the vampire, but he has this weird accent that isn't Italian. Well, but it could have been maybe a vampire Italian. That's not fucking improv, man. That's playing around with goofy accents. And I've been doing that since high school. But
well, that's it's ad-libbing. It's not improv.
Yeah, and that's that thing. But yes, Greg, if at some point you could forward me those rules, some of them were awesome and some of them were fucking train wrecks. I think in the end you fell under the weight of having to learn train wreck rules every other week.
My gripe about 5e is the same gripe I'll have with any new shiny that comes along. Like this is the fact that, okay, fine, you play what you want. If you're playing it and you're enjoying it, you're doing it good. I support that view. Right. I really do, because you should have fun playing. But at the same time, you get tremendous pressure about playing the latest shiny. And it just, I don't like that kind of pressure. And it's pressure. It's not only pressure for you to do it, but it's pressure to not be able to find what you want to play.
You're right.
And I that's what I gripe. It's like, okay, 5e, yeah, great, but there shouldn't be 25e games over here and then one BX game.
Wow.
That I can play, and I'm not talking just conventions, anywhere, because you get that anywhere.
Well, here's the thing, and I got to give a lot of credit out. When we were playing out in Long Island, our game store allowed us to play AD&D 1A. they weren't making money off it, except for the donation that we gave to the store and whatever
Right.
snacks and dice or other crap.
I mean, you're
But they weren't selling game books to us because we weren't there to play 5e. But we were trying to give business to the location.
well, that's good.
But if you're a game store, what would you rather have people playing? Would you rather have them playing Labyrinth Lord, which is not in distribution, DCC RPG, which is in distribution, or 5e, which is in distribution, and I have a whole wall of 5e shit? Well, I might not want people to play DCC, and certainly 5e, but maybe I'll say, well, if you want a table for your Labyrinth Lord game, maybe you have to pay $10 a head to rent the table. I don't know.
I'll run Old School Essentials. That's in distribution.
Is it actually in distribution in stores? Because I haven't gone.
I don't know about stores, but it's out there. I mean,
no.
Labyrinth Lord is not out there.
Yeah, it's got to be in stores. Print on demand does not count. At least if you are.
What about Swords and Wizardry? I know they're in distribution in some stores.
They were supposed. Listen, there's a whole story behind.
Anyway,
the fiasco of Swords and Wizardry or any Frog God product.
I'm just splitting hairs right now. I can understand it's a business decision.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's all it's me. It's my problem. Okay, that's why I'm going to therapy. This is my problem. So,
but we love you anyway, Glenn. It's okay.
I don't get the games I want. What's wrong with me, Doc?
Nothing's wrong with you. It's me. So I love David. David, gonna have to steal the NPC. Yeah, see, David, you're gonna get me and Glenn thinking
with the bad Italian accent.
Yeah, you're getting Glenn and I think, at least me thinking that maybe when Glenn and I get together, part of the episode should be us brainstorming a bad NPC for you to steal for your current campaign.
Look what they did to my son.
See, that's another bad Italian. I said, I die.
To tell he's a pimp.
If you can do bad Godfather, you can do anything.
I do a good Godfather. Thank you.
Well, yeah, you well.
I've always.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the GMs listening at home. We're gonna have to go. I can't do Glenn's Godfather.
Actually, I've got a new. I think I'm going to have a new Old Man Grognard YouTube series pretty soon. That I'm just starting to get it together here. So it's going to be a while, and it's going to be called Old Man Grognard's NPCs.
All right. So I have been corrected. OSC has ISBN numbers and is in some stores. None of the books are print on demand. Okay.
He's
Fair
right.
enough.
It's just that they're over there in England, and it takes forever to get the books. I mean, I'm sure Glen Seal and Monkey Blood have the same problem, but
Glenn's stuff is awesome.
It is.
And here's something that I think. I know Glenn did a 5e. Translation or the Middlelands. I am really becoming someone who's beginning to feel that most settings, if they aren't integral to the rule set, in other words, if the rule set's not including a setting as part of the actual release, that most settings should probably be system neutral with supplements that are rule specific. So, because I'll be honest with you, when it comes to a setting, am I worried about the game effects, or am I more interested in the world, the locations, the people, the characters? I'm more interested in that, and the game effects probably come into play. Exalted Funeral does the U.S. distribution.
That's their U.S. distributor.
Okay, so now I don't know if it's going to show up on the screen today in the mail from the UK. It just blocks me out. Here,
What
I'll
is
just
it?
show. It's Deep Carbon Observatory.
Oh,
This,
that's for something island.
yes, it looks.
I can't
Looks
remember the guys. I can't remember the something island. I bought the 2 books a few years ago. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's
So
one of the locations on the island. Looks
I'm really looking forward to settling in and getting some of that
You
red.
hear that? You hear that, guys? If you send me one, I'll do a review, and I'll actually remember the name of the game system.
Folks, don't send me all that much because I don't really do much in the way of reviews. I will do spotlights. Send Glenn the review shit. For me, Hot Springs Island, I think is
Hot Springs Island. Why can I? That's the second time I did that.
and I have Hot Springs Island. I can't.
Yes.
I don't know why I didn't even think about it.
I thought that was a wonderful, wonderful supplement. Pricey, but wonderful. Yeah, OSC, I think, is the last thing I bought as a game. Everything else,
Really?
people send me a review. Yeah, because I've gotten to the point where I've got all the games I want. And unless some big hoo-ha Kickstarter comes along or something, actually, OSC was the last thing. Before that was Savage Worlds Adventures Edition. But that was last year. Early last year, I got that. But yeah, it's when you get my age and you get everything you want, I do it for the reviews now.
Well, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just as an aside, before I forget, my new toy to play with when it comes to mapping apps is Dungeon Builder. I'm gonna
Dungeon Builder. And what is that? A website or a software or app?
It's actually it's software. You download it. You can download it for free to play with it. And I did, and that's how I built the what do you call it? The Dungeon Privy adventure.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna share the screen real quick here because it is a quick and easy way to build an isometric dungeon. Hobbyte, HOBBYTE.net is the actual store. Like I said, you can download it and play with it for free. If you want to unlock it, I think it's 69 pounds, or no, euros. It's in euros. And if you want to use it for commercial purposes, you got to pay an additional licensing fee. But it's fun.
Right.
It's quick. I put together stuff literally in half an hour.
Wow.
You can't. This isn't a review. It's not an endorsement. I haven't played with enough to make it an endorsement.
Oh, endorse it. Go ahead.
But I find it inspirational and something that I plan to do a lot of fun with over the next couple of weeks, and it may come up in future projects that are Tavern related. We shall see.
Okay, that looks nice. It looks real nice.
Yeah, I think for those listening at home, it's an isometric mapping program to build dungeons, but you can also do outdoor scenes with it. And would isometric work well with necessarily a VTT? Probably not as well.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, at least not if you're locking it to a grid on the VTT. But if you go gridless on your VTT and just have this grid built into the map itself, I think it could work. And I just think there's just a certain virtual depth to it, which I think is special and fun. So, hey,
probably
if I'm going to kill some time with it, what the heck?
Yeah, you're retired. I'm retired. What the heck?
Go figure.
Go golly, Miss Molly. Well, we've done enough ragging on 5e tonight.
Well, honestly, we really haven't ragged on 5e. 5e is most certainly the rising tide that is lifting all ships.
Well, I
And
think what we've ragged on is the way 5e does things, or the way people in WotC do
well,
things with 5e.
more how WotC is trying to even use the DMG to monetize their adventures, and that's the funny thing, because honestly, when like the D&D creative crew was stripped down after they published the core rule set, it was all of a sudden like, oh yeah, we don't need you all. Let's go down to a skeleton crew. Everybody's dismissed. We're going to hire outsiders to do our first couple of hardcover adventures. Like, was it the Dragon Queen's Horde or whatever?
Horde of the Dragon Queen.
It's Horde of the Dragon Queen. I actually have a signed copy of that. Don't ask me how that happened.
Wow.
But when you're doing your first adventure releases are under contract to outside creators that are, it isn't even like you're hiring an outside team to write it. You were already assuming that there wasn't going to be much money in adventures, and now if they're going to increase the amount of what they're releasing, it means that they realize that there's money in adventures for 5e. Now,
has been.
yes. Now, if you are an old school gamer and you hear something that's it's a good adventure for 5e, like a lot of the 5e stuff isn't going to convert well to old school gaming. But if you get something from some of the third party publishers, if there's a sale on, I don't know, again, I'm gonna Frog God or Troll Lord, if they have stuff on the Humble Bundle and it's a 5e package that's a conversion of their pretty much old school adventures to 5e, jump on it at those prices as a Humble Bundle price, because you know what? It's going to convert to old school gaming easily, and it's going to run well. You can't really convert from old school gaming up to 5e very easily. It's a hard road to walk, but it's all downhill if you're going to go from
5e
to old school. So if you have an opportunity to save money on these adventures, certainly do so when it presents itself to you.
This ad was brought to you by Erik Tenkar and Tenkar's Tavern.
Yeah, listen, we are all frugal gamers to some extent, right? I mean, did I spend a good amount of money on my latest purchase that I just put to the side? Yes. But if I can save money on other locations and still get quality material, will I do so? Yes. I'd be a fool not to.
Well, I've always said to people, look, I'm a cheap bastard. And I'm always looking for, I still pride myself in building back up my old school library on the cheap. I worked like a crazy person trying to get the deals, and it just paid out in spades.
You gotta make it work for you. And when we were selling, Frog Out Games at the conventions was selling Pathfinder by the pound.
I remember.
I was, books like The Blight or Northland Saga. These are huge 700, 800 page books that you could get for like $25, $20. And I was just saying, listen, convert it to Swords and Wizardry. At that price, you can make the notations in the fucking book.
Yeah, folks, $25 for this.
Yeah. I mean, The Blight's a good book, man. It really is. Is it dark? Yes. Is it a heavy read? Yes. I wouldn't sit down with that book during the Christmas holidays.
I have yet to crack it.
Okay.
Rach
learned enough about it to start trying to explain it from the perspective of a person who's run drug and alcohol treatment programs. And I was like, Rach, you can't stop talking about how the babies are basically narcotics and being used for. No, stop. You can't. This is not the way to sell it. But it was fun. It was fun to watch her do that.
I got that, and I got Bard's Gate, so I got the light and the dark.
Bard's Gate is very nice. And if you have a copy of Bard's Gate, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, look at the map. Look at the city map. There are Easter eggs throughout.
Galore.
You will enjoy them. There's a Tenkar's Tavern in the town. So
which reminds me, I've got to do I'm writing up a Gangbusters game based on Tenkar's Roadhouse outside of Rock Junction, which is right next to Rachel's Beer Garden. Rachel's Beer Garden. Or is it Tenkar's Beer Garden? I forget.
Rachel's Roadhouse? That might actually
No. Eric's
that has a little alliteration to it. Rachel's Roadhouse and Tenkar's Tavern.
Beer Garden.
All right, yeah. Tenkar's Tavern and Beer Garden. There you go.
Yeah. So I got to do up a Gangbusters game for that. I already got you guys statted up, so.
Well, there you go. All right, cool. Just remember, I'm about 50 pounds less than when you last saw me.
Well, that has nothing to do with that, but okay.
I'm joking.
So am I. I think I made Race proficient in shotgun to get rid of all the undesirables.
You know what? I'm going to tell you right now, that is perfect for Race because she is legally blind. And
then I get her a sawed off.
So a shotgun is perfect. That is the weapon that you would want to give somebody for home defense if their eyesight was not spot on.
I'm thinking. Remember,
just shoot at the blobs in front of you and see what falls.
Remember the movie El Dorado? James Caan and his saw shotgun. I need a gun for a man who doesn't know how to shoot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, my brother-in-law gave Rachel's sister for Mother's Day, I think like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Gave her a shotgun, semi-automatic shotgun for a Mother's Day present. Because, as he put it, Mom's going to learn how to shoot, but she's never going to spend the time to actually learn how to shoot. So she's getting a shotgun. I was like,
I was raised with guns. I was raised with shotguns and such. My dad used to trap and skeet shoot all the time.
Oh, nice.
So, and sometimes I would join him.
I have never fired a long arm. Only
really?
handgun. Yep.
Oh, it's interesting. I still remember how to do it. Hell, I was a member of the NRA.
I might still be. I think I
took their hunter safety course.
They were giving like lifetime memberships out to law enforcement when I was active, and I joined, and I guess I might still be technically a member. I mean, I still get mailings begging me for money, but
not me. They can't find me, which is good.
Glen Halstrom, MIA.
That's right. You got it, folks.
Can't touch this. Boom, 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 boom. And that's not the two shots talking, but it was very nice. Two shots.
No, it's the third one.
I only put two in there. I try to be very good because my doctor said you can have a glass or two of wine at night. So a glass or two of wine is a shot or two of faux fireball whiskey. Again, Tullamore Dew probably would go with a cheap whiskey next time because
Fire faux whiskey.
Fire faux whiskey. There you go. I like that. Can you cast a faux fireball? I guess that would be an illusionary fireball, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much. Do you believe you got hit? Well, you got hit.
Well, yeah. Here, then I'm gonna, since we've touched on it, and maybe this will be our grand hoorah at the end. how did you, or how do you handle illusions in? I mean, for me, it was always AD&D, but
Uh-huh.
in old school gaming, how do you handle illusions, illusionary damage, saves, all this stuff? I mean,
I don't, because my players are too smart. I ran a 1E game for my grandkids Engage, for my
okay,
granddaughters Engage, and I threw in. I was running Salt Marsh, Sinister Secret of Salt Marsh, and they were
right,
down in the bowels of it. Good evening, Greg. And we were down in the bowels of this house, and I threw a white at them. Gage immediately looked through it
really,
because he just logicked it out, because they tried to catch the guy who was the head of the smugglers and he got away. They went down this dark hall, and all I could think of, oh, he threw an illusion of a white up. Well, he didn't know it was a white, but if that white
right.
had touched him, I was going to say he drained levels and see if he believed it. But at the end of the scenario, well, no, you're still third level or whatever the hell you were. Because I think they're all first level, and it's like, man, if I drain him one level, he's dead.
Yeah, it's like,
so,
oops.
so I was gonna leave him with a conundrum. I was gonna have him, drain a level, but you're still alive. Does that mean I'm a white? We'll
I
see.
don't know.
We'll see.
Because I mean, as a DM, I don't think I have ever had one player want to play an illusionist because you weren't going to get access to
Those
Fireball.
are fun.
Oh, I played an illusionist. Don't get me
They're
wrong.
fun.
I played an illusionist at least twice. Phasmir was my first one. I forget the name of my second one. My second one was with second edition, and I hate to say it, but I had good rolls, so I gamed the system.
Oh.
What second edition? No, sorry, it was an Earth Arcana, so it was late first edition. I gained the system in that I had the scores to be a fighter or an illusionist, and to do a class. So I started out as a fighter, and we always played that you had to gain at least one level in a class before you switched.
Oh yeah.
So I got the second level as a fighter, and then I switched to an illusionist. But as an illusionist, you had access to phantom armor, which was a great spell. But usually it was like, well, you're in phantom plate armor, but you're carrying a dagger. And everybody disbelieves it right away. But when you're in phantom armor, phantom plate mail, and you are wielding a two-handed sword, which he always wielded a two-handed sword because can't use shields, right? You looked legit when you cast phantom armor, so nobody ever disbelieved it. So it was cool. But the problem became, how do you cast, or how do you decide upon the effectiveness of spells like Phantom Force, improved Phantom Force, and what was it? The third level, Spectral Force, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Phantom Force had no audible components. Improved Phantom Force had minimal audible components, and then Spectral could do full voice, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You couldn't do a Phantom Force fireball because it had no sound, it had no heat. It was always good for doing things like putting up a wall to block pursuers who were
That
trying
worked.
to, you always had to figure it out. And I think there was an article in Dragon magazine that did touch upon that. I'm going to have to look for it because it's something that isn't touched upon often. And I think that the Illusionist is a class that pretty much after first edition got forgotten. It really.
Well, then they started doing, well, here's the different classes of mage, and you just sort of got lumped in there with the rest.
I'm an evoker. I'm an illusionist, which means I can't use evocation.
I'm a necromancer. Yeah. It just got lumped in there.
Yeah, if you played an illusionist in first edition, you really had to think out of the box because you didn't get the I don't know, the illusionary spells that had some kind of actual true damage as part of their components until higher levels. So you had to make your illusions effective within the limitations that you had. An illusionary dragon was retarded to do. Sorry, but it was just a poor choice of creatures to create.
And don't forget, if you have certain illusionary spells where you can just use sound. And in the right circumstances,
Yep.
that is very, very effective. I played in a 5e game where I was playing an illusionist, and I had whatever the cantrip was that you can create like a simple thing or a sound or something. And we came up with an orc camp, and all the orcs were in their tents because it was early morning. And all I did was make the sound of like 50 bows being drawn back.
Nice.
And that scared them out. That scared them out of the tents right into our ambush.
Yeah, illusionist was a class that you had to play more subtly than the offensive powers of a magic user, and I enjoyed that challenge. But I also enjoyed abusing the Unearthed Arcana rules and chromatic orb. It was like, oh my god,
oh my god, Corey on Thicko's Hammer fell in love with that.
Yeah. The only problem is you can't keep on buying over this. This town only has so many gemstones for you to buy. Like, fuck.
Oh well. I remember when back in the day when Matt was running Rule Cyclopedia and then Labyrinth Lord, that one of the guys was playing a magician because in basic D&D you got races and races class, you got the 4 basics, so there is no illusionist. And my thing was always like, what if I wanted to play an illusionist? Well, you couldn't, because there is one illusionist spell in the whole thing, which is Phantasmal Force. But that guy who played the magician, he mopped the floor with the monsters in the dungeon. He was taking down giants who thought they were drowning and things like that. You got to have a good imagination for a spell like that. And boy, did he have it.
Yeah, again, it's something that pushes the player and it pushes the GM. Now, I've always been a DM that when it comes to using illusions, you have to be very judicial in using them.
That's right.
Illusionary wall was one thing, but again, illusionary dragons, illusionary ogres, they don't. It's like watching in one of the Star Wars movies and looking at a hologram and then watching it repeat itself. You're like, okay, that's an illusion, or it'll flicker. It doesn't have depth. So you need to do things that don't have depth. You need to do that wall. You need to do that pit that will make the player, the PC stop and reevaluate their decision as to what they're going to do. That I always felt was the secret to an effective illusion.
Of course. It always is. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think
notice how we wind down, folks.
Yes, folks. Usually it's like, well, Tenkar's on his second. Tenkar's finished his second alcoholic beverage. It might be time for them. It might be time for Tenkar to put his
time
head
for a
nap and just go.
Betty bye.
Yeah, well, yeah. Most likely, I'll be up until the wee hours of the morning because
I know how that goes. I'll be up at 5 a.m. I know that.
Oh, geez,
anyway, it's the way I sleep. Go out on the couch and sleep for a couple more hours.
No, for me, it's before Rachel started working from home, she'd get up and I was and I'd wake up at like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Right.
Now Rachel works from home and occasionally I would get up early to make her breakfast before she left for work. Occasionally, because I was trying to be a good husband. But now she's working from home and her desk is in the bedroom. So obviously
same with Becky.
So I have to get out of bed, but not only do I have to get out of bed, but it's like, all right, you know what? She has to start work at 9. Let me get out of bed by, I don't know, look at my watch. Yeah. But before 8 o'clock, so I can get up and make breakfast. Because if I'm going to get up, I might as well make it worth my while, worth Rachel's while. I'll make breakfast.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock every day. It's rough,
I'll go sleep on the recliner if Becky has to work late because she's got her desk in there too.
Yeah, I'll nap at my recliner sometimes, but
yeah,
usually it's a little bit of a fitful nap.
Okay, we're talking old folks stuff now.
Old folks, home folks. You don't want to hear this because these old folks, all they talk about is the sciatica and their heart issues and their blood sugars.
It's time to wrap up. What do you think?
Folks, Glenn and I both really appreciate everybody. Folks, if you're watching at home, please subscribe, like, and a comment. Really, I appreciate it. Glenn appreciates it. Your feedback, the live audience, is what makes this what it is. We wouldn't be.
That's right. Listen to Thaco's Hammer. Listen to Radio Grognard and the entire spectrum of the Tenkar's Tavern network.
Well, tomorrow night, 8:00, should be Rach and I doing Gamers Health. And kicking off probably on Sunday, there'll be a new weekly podcast. It's going to have its own feed. It's just going to be the actual Tenkar's Tavern blog converted to audio on a weekly basis. So for those that either want to catch up on your drive to work, or if you have a visual impairment, you'll be able to catch up on the Tenkar's Tavern blog on a weekly basis. We'll do a weekly recap that's going to be in audible format. I don't expect a huge amount of subscribers to it, but it will be an option. It will probably not be up on YouTube, but who the fuck knows? Maybe we'll see.
Oh well.
On that note, Glenn and I neither one of us are medical professionals. However, we have both had our COVID shots. Glenn's first, mine my second. I am not suggesting that you get one. I am going to tell you to use your common sense to keep yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends healthy and safe in the world of COVID.
Right.
If you need medical advice, seek it from a professional that you trust. Ignore the talking heads on TV, on YouTube, and all the other bullshit that's out there.
I love the talking heads.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm saying don't be entertained by them, but don't use them for medical advice. They broke up a long time ago. Oh, not those talking heads yet. Folks, be safe, be well. God bless. Knock on wood. I'll be back tomorrow with Rach to do some Gamers Health.
Get rid of my ugly face.
Oh, we get my ugly face. And since we're doing, since I'm recording YouTube now on a daily basis, you actually get to see my lovely face. I apologize for that, but it can't be helped.
Oh, well.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Good night, folks.